As you grab your seats, I forgot to remind you that we're going to allow you flash photography for at least the first 3 minutes, after which we will ask you, you can take as many photographs as you like, but if you could refrain from using flash photography, that would be fantastic. Welcome, George, to the red carpet. It is so nice to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I had the privilege of working on episode 2 and episode 3, and tell me, I'm a Polynesian. We have a lot of vowels in our names. Where do you get the names from your characters?
Well, they come from everywhere. A lot of the names actually are derivative of other concepts and things that are throughout history and mythology and that sort of thing. Some are just fun. They're usually done phonetically. Some of them come from my kids who you just met. And, you know, some of them actually come from, dare I say it, licensing. I come up with so many characters, I don't even name all of them. I only name the main characters and everything, and they have to come up with names for some of these really obscure people that stand in the corner. So, that's where they come from.
Thank you very much. Look, what we're going to do is, because time is precious here, we're going to set up our Q&A, question and answer microphones on either side of the stage. We ask you to, in an orderly fashion, make a line to the side there. We're going to get some people to ask questions. Now, some of you may not get to ask your question because of time restraints. We do apologize for that, but seeing that we have the Jedi Master in the house, I think that you can understand that. And with that, Nancy, who do we have there?
We've got Jeff from Texas.
Welcome.
Howdy, George.
Hi.
I'm from Plano, Texas, and I'm fortunate enough to have a DLP projector. I was wondering, how long do you think it will take for all the theaters to adapt to DLP technology so that all the other Star Wars fans here can see the films the way they were meant to be seen?
Well, that's a very good question. I think if everybody writes a letter to their local theater owner and says, when are you going to get your digital projection? It may happen faster. I thought we would all be digital after Phantom Menace, but we're actually backsliding a bit. The last Attack of the Clones was shown in about 150 digital theaters. Now we're down to about 80. But I think we're right on the cusp. We've been pushing and pushing and pushing to bring this new technology into the marketplace, and there's a lot of resistance, but it will happen.
Thank you. Diana, who do we have there?
We have Tyler from Indiana.
Hi, Tyler.
Lucas, thank you for making the movies and the games and the toys.
I just want to thank you as a mom. My son has something called Charge syndrome, and he's had, an extremely, difficult life. Lots of lots of surgeries, and was very critical at the beginning of his life. And Star Wars is his life. Doesn't have friends, and between the movies and the toys and the games, it truly is the best thing in his life. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you so very much, George, because this is his everything.
Nancy, who do we have on your side?
We've got Ben from Maryland.
My dad keeps telling me that the stormtroopers are the good guys. Are they really?
The stormtroopers are the good guys. It's just that they take orders from a very bad man.
So basically what you're saying, it's not the knife, it's the hand that wields it.
Yes.
Diana.
We have Adam from New York.
Hi, Mr. Lucas. I just want to say thank you for 30 years of hard work and just sharing the saga with everybody and dedicating your life to it. I'm curious as to why in most interviews you talk about future generations watching the saga starting from episode 4. I'm sorry, starting from 1 through 6, you'd like it ultimately to do that. Do you think there might be some value to watching it from 4 to 6, then 1, 2, 3 to get the shock of Darth Vader being Luke's father?
Well, you'll see that in the new scheme of things, when Darth Vader comes to that door in Episode 4, everybody's going to know what's going on, and they're going to say, "Oh my God!" And when they see Princess Leia, they're going to say, "Oh my God, that's his daughter." And when you cut down to Luke, it says, do they know, and what's going to happen? And so it's a completely different dynamic. But the great thing about the future is especially in cinema, and especially with this particular series, is you can actually do whatever you want. You can go backwards, forward, start in the middle. I mean, there's 6 episodes, and you'll be able to watch it any way you want to watch it. I just think for some young people that watch it 1 through 6, they'll have a very different experience than those who grew up in the old way. But, it's also true that a lot of people that see it now already know that, what that's part of the story is.
Ahoy there, Nancy.
Toby from New York.
I think the Pirates of the Caribbean convention's in Kansas City.
Am I in the wrong room? I just wanted to thank you for stirring the imaginations of myself and everyone for my entire life. And I just, want to ask, aside from maybe Han Solo and Lando, why aren't there more pirates in the movie?
You're probably looking for John Knoll. He's the one that's working on Pirates. He's here somewhere.
That's fantastic, Alfred. Thank you very much for your question, though. Over this side.
This is John from New York.
Hello, Mr. Lucas. Thank you very much for being here today. On top of being a huge fan, I'm also a musician, and I was wondering if you could bring only 3 CDs with you to a desert island to listen to, what would you bring to listen to?
3 CDs? Well, I'd probably bring Dvorak, the Beatles, and
Marilyn Manson?
Yeah.
And the Carpenters. All right, over this side.
Brian from New Hampshire.
Hi, George. My question was actually inspired by one of the MCs the other day, who I think is maybe a little greedy because he wants more money. But now that you're done with the prequels, do you have any plans to go on to maybe make more Willow films?
Yeah, I mentioned at the earlier group here that Warwick Davis and I were backstage sort of ruminating about the possibility of maybe doing a Willow TV series. I'm not sure what will happen, but we just, it sort of was a discussion that was intriguing to me.
Thank you. Yes, Diana?
We have Gary from Oregon.
Yes, George. I know the question on everybody's mind right now is what is the rating of the new movie?
What is the what?
The rating.
The rating. PG-13. I had heard possibly R, that you had to go through and edit. So what's going on with that?
It wasn't. We didn't have to edit it. We just did it. It is a PG-13. The last film was almost a PG-13. We did have to resubmit that to get it to be a regular PG. And we knew that this one was probably going to end up with a PG-13. It's much rougher. There's nothing in it that's not in the other movies. It's the only slight difference is you get to see how Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi gets to look like that. Obviously, it's not a pleasant experience. At the same time, I have to admit we may cut off a few more arms and legs than we normally do, but it's nothing different. There's nothing you haven't seen in a Star Wars film before.
Thank you.
James from Maryland.
How you doing, Mr. Lucas?
Hi.
Thanks for coming. I'm very happy to see you, and you've inspired my imagination a good deal. I had a question for you on the yellow eyes of the Sith. It's kind of been established in the expanded universe, not so much, but we see, Anakin later in the movie apparently with yellow eyes, and of course Darth Maul has yellow eyes, and I'm just curious, is it something that happens instantaneous, or is it a gradual thing, or can you kind of explain the whole yellow eye thing?
Well, it happens when you become particularly evil. You know, they go back to normal when you're sort of in remorse about all the evil that you've done. But, of course, that never happens with the emperor. If you're really evil, then you know, in that evil moment when you're really angry, you know, and your steam's coming out of your ears where your eyes turn yellow. How's that?
I can see, I see a lot of people out there going, but remember, this is the mouthpiece here, so what he says goes. So, yes.
We have Callie from Switzerland.
Hello, Mr. Lucas. Thank you for coming. Well, I would like to know what will be the advice you will give to someone that would like to follow your path? I mean, make movies and things like that.
Well, I would say the secret is to be persistent and believe in yourself and, you know, work hard and show off your work, because if it's really good, then people will see it and eventually, you know, you'll be recognized. And if you love your work, then you don't have to worry about success, because it's just a matter of doing your work, not a matter of what everybody thinks of you.
Thank you. Yes?
Cece from New York.
Hello, Mr. Lucas. My name is CC Banana. In the Star Wars movies, when a Jedi dies, sometimes they fade away, and others they just lie there dead.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I would like to know, what do you think will happen when you die?
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling I'm just going to lay there dead. But it takes a great deal of study, you know, on the contemplation and study, and you have to know certain people on the other side in order to make that part happen.
I think if and when that happens, and it may happen or it may not happen, you'll probably hear Rick in the background going, "We'll fix it in post. Don't worry."
We'll paint him out. But can I just ask one question?
Yes.
Was your name CC Banana?
Was it CC Banana?
Unbelievable. Fantastic. Unbelievable.
Well, there's another Jedi warrior. Yes.
This is Ian from Tennessee.
Hey, George.
Hi.
I just wanted to know what Mr. Spielberg's involvement was with Episode 3 and how much of it makes it to the final cut of the film.
Well, he did the whole thing. I just put my name on it. No, I've been promoting an idea that I've been using on my films, and we had a little digital conference a few years back, and I explained to my friends and showed them this previs system of how you pre-visualize films, and Bob Zemeckis picked it up to do Polar Express, and then when I was doing Star Wars, or starting to do this film, in the middle of it, a film Steve was working on fell out, so he had all summer just basically to hang out by the pool and enjoy himself in East Hampton, and he was going crazy. So he said, I can't stand it, I don't have a picture to direct, I don't know what to do. So I said, look, I got a bunch of action sequences here, I'll send a previs guy out to East Hampton to sit with you, and you know, you can design some of my, you know, do the storyboards for some of my sequences. And so he did. He sat by the pool and did some extremely elaborate storyboards, some very Spielbergian storyboards, and some storyboards that actually found their way into the movie. He did a number of sequences in the final film. There's like 2 or 3 sequences that he did. You know, I don't think I'm going to tell you because I want to take credit for them because they're the best things in the movie.
What are the 2 different directing styles? I mean, Steven's style compared to your style?
Well, you know, I'm more of a documentary filmmaker. I just kind of go out and shoot a bunch of stuff, and then I manipulate it later, and I'm more of an editor. Steve is a really precise director. You know, he lays things out, he storyboards things, he shoots them exactly the way he plans them. You know, I let everything kind of be real on the set and then figure out how to fix it later. And he, so stylistically that's the difference. But in terms of the actual aesthetic, the actual style, apart from the fact that he has more concept shots than I do that are conceptual in nature, they're all set up very carefully. we're pretty much the same, actually. You know, I mean, we have the same ideas about things and the same takes on things. So his storyboarding actually fit into the rest of the movie very well. It wasn't like suddenly you're going to be like watching something that's very different. And I say the really conceptual stuff I sort of put over into War of the Worlds.
So we'll expect Indiana Jones in episode 3 then. So, yes, over this side.
Thomas from Utah.
Hi, George, Rick, Jay. Wow. I'll be quick. I was born about 50 miles away from where the Sarlacc pit was. Been a fan all my life. Never thought this would happen. My only question, real quick, what was the thing in your personal life and in Star Wars and everything else that has kept you driving you on? And, you know, I know the love for it, of course, but, you know, what was it other than your car accident that turned your life and said, okay, this is what I want to do. You know, this is what I want to do now. This is what I'm passionate about.
Well, I think, I was very lucky in that when I was wandering around like everybody does when you're in high school and college, wondering what in the world is I'm going to do in the world, and I stumbled into movies. And it was a pure accident. I didn't really think about it at all before I got into it. I actually went to USC to learn photography, and I didn't know there was an actual school to teach movies. But once I got there, once I sat in a film class, and I said, oh my God, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. And you just, you know, you find your passion. You find something you really love, and you can't live without it, and you have to do it. And I mean, that's what got me into making movies, and I love making movies more than anything except for my children. And you know, this thing with Star Wars, I love to make all kinds of movies, and this, you know, I was meant to make films like THX and kind of strange abstract films, which is that's what I wanted to do. And then I did American Graffiti on a bet to do a comedy. I could do a comedy. I'll do one of those. And then and the next one was to do a Hollywood movie with sets and on sound stages and everything. So I did Star Wars, but I didn't think it was going to take over my life. I thought it was just going to be a one-shot deal, and I'd go back to making experimental movies. And so what drives me on from that is, I don't know, the fans. The fans are the things that keep me going.
Thank you. Yes, Diana.
We have Linda from Arizona.
Hi. Thanks for coming. My question is about Skywalker Ranch. I've always wanted to visit there, and I was wondering if you had a bed and breakfast and where I could sign up.
Well, Skywalker Ranch is an office, just like any other office. I mean, it's a beautiful office, but it's a large Victorian house, which, you know, out where we come from, any house that's over 100 years old is called ancient. But here you have lots of Victorian houses, so it's not uncommon. It's just an old house. I mean, large, but old house. But and it's just where we work. It's you know, we do have an area there where people who come to either record music in the recording studio or mix films stay while they're working there. But we don't have a really outside operation for tours or guests or any of that kind of stuff. It's Skywalker Inn. Do you have to be Jim Cameron? You know.
So thank you for that. Skywalker Ranch is just a house like
any other.
Like the Edinburgh Castle is just like a shack. Yes. Yes, please.
James from Indiana.
Hi. My wife wanted me to say hi to Jay. She's from New Zealand.
All right.
She's a Maori descent, so she said, hey, cuzzy bro.
Yeah, New Zealand's closed at the moment, but yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Send my love.
My question to George is I'd like to know what your religious belief is in your life, and how do you balance your work with that, I guess?
Well, no, that's an interesting one. I grew up a Methodist. I live in Marin County, which is primarily Buddhist, therefore has strong influences. And I studied world religions. I studied anthropology for years and have studied world religions and that sort of thing. And so I have a spiritual life, but I'm not necessarily attached to any particular organization at that sort of thing. And so I bring a lot of that into my work, but at the same time, I sort of live it in my life rather than visit it once a week.
Thank you. That is, unless you go to England, where Jedi is a religion. Yes?
This is Christian from Illinois.
What's your favorite Sith? What's your favorite Sith?
I think that was, what's your favorite Sith?
My Sith? Yeah, Rick. Well, I would have to say, really, my favorite Sith is the Emperor. And I think when you see this next film, you'll see why. He doesn't have a lot of gizmos. He doesn't have a lot of black capes. He doesn't have all the things that everybody else has, but he is definitely the most evil of them all.
Thank you. I saw the title of the next movie, and I always thought that there was a misspell because Sith is such a strange word to look at, yet alone hear. But you know, it sounded like somebody with a bad lisp. But
Yeah.
still,
Well, as they say, Sith happens.
I set him up for that. All right, so be quiet. Quiet. Over the side.
Brian from Indiana.
Yeah, George. Episode 4, 5, and 6 were deeper and very unpredictable. Episode 1 and 2 were not as deep, and you could predict what was happening most of the time. Is episode 3 going to be darker and more exciting than the others, you think?
I think that's a good guess. You know, again, the difference between the last three and the first three is that the last three were, was designed as a story. And even though it was split among 3 movies, each act of a play or a book or whatever, or a chapter, has an arc and a climax and that sort of thing. There's technical issues that go on, which allow you to break it up into 3 pieces. But it's very plot-oriented. It's very much a story. The first 3 that I just finished is really a backstory. So ultimately, it's character-driven, and it's really about a lot of exposition, of explaining where everybody is, where it comes from. To be very honest with you, that's why I always start my films in the middle. I don't like that part, you know. And I think most people that write books or plays or everything would like to cut the first act out, or the first 2 or 3 chapters out of the book, and just get to the point. And it worked with 4, 5, and 6. I mean, I could start in the middle, and it still made sense, and you still know what's going on. But the style and the nature of the first 3 is very different. It's not plot-driven, it's character-driven. And as a result, it has a different kind of an arc to it. Also, to be very honest with you, the backstory was, I don't know, 7 pages or something like that. Just explained who the characters were, where the Empire came from, and all this kind of stuff. Well, episode 1 was about 20% of that. Basically, this is how he grew up. This is how he became a Jedi. This is how he made friends, and this was setting up Anakin. And the rest of it was kind of a riff that I did, sort of a jazz riff. And then the same thing in the next one is, I used about 20% of the story, and then the rest, which was, he gets married, and his mother dies, and a few points that have to be there, and then I did another riff to kind of get us through that one. And this one has got, 60% of the story. So most of the story is in this one. It just, when you lay it out and try to do it in 3 films, I could have done it in 2, to be very honest with you, except there's this age thing that keeps getting in. I didn't want to do one of those awful dissolves where he's 10 and then suddenly he's 16. So I decided I wanted to do episodes 1, 2, and 3. I didn't want to do 1, 2, and then skip 3 and then go to 4, 5, and 6. So that's why it is the way it is.
Thank you very much. We're going to take one from this side, and then we'll have just one more over this side and one over this side. So 2 more after this one. Thank you very much. And everyone else, thank you very much for standing in line.
We have Beverly from Phoenix.
Hi there, how are you?
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you on the 501st, what do you think of them and all the work that they do?
They've got all their guns pointed at me. No, I love the 501st. You know, I got to meet a bunch of them in Las Vegas a short time back. That's where they hang out, the big gamblers. You know. But I think they're great. You know, I think you know, it's an amazing thing. I think they need a band or something to go with them, though. You know, kind of. They need the 501st band, you know, a marching band. But it's great.
I think maybe that there should be in the works, and I'm not sure whether it be the 501st or people around it, that they should just write in. And the royals in England have a knighthood, and they become the royal, you know, Sir something. And I think that maybe there should be created a knighthood of certain groups, like the 501st and other groups. They're not the only groups, but other groups who follow the Star Wars religion religiously, I should say. And I think that maybe we should just quieten down now.
He was our first choice, too.
Yes.
I can't believe it.
That's right. Tim Morrison's still downstairs. So, but I think that maybe that's something that we should look at, maybe knight them a little later on. I think it'll be really cool. But we're going to take our final 2 questions. We'd like to thank everybody else who was in line. If you'd like to grab a seat there. Yes, ma'am.
Marcus from Michigan.
Hey, Marcus.
My question is, how did you come up with the name of Star Wars?
Very good question, too.
Well, when I first came up with it, it was called The Star Wars. And I came up with it because, in the end, that's what it was about. It was about a war in the stars. And the studio didn't like it, and they didn't want me to call it that because they thought everybody would think it was a movie about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. But I persisted and kept the name Star Wars. I can't remember what their suggestions were, but you know, I think there's a good reason I can't remember.
Well, there you go. Obviously, we also have to talk to Microsoft and all those other computer places about fixing their spell checks, because it's very difficult to write Star Wars and then they come back and try and split the words up or tell them that it's wrong. But we're going to take our final question from this side.
We have Phil from England.
Hey.
Hey, George. Good to meet you. Just want to get up here and say thank you, a big thank you from all the UK fans for making the original trilogy in England, in London, for all the great British actors you used, for the great premieres you've had. And I guess we're all really looking forward to the 16th and the marathon stroke premiere. And I guess my question is, what have you got planned for that day? Can all my American friends have one? And can I have a ticket? Because I'm here and I can't get one.
I don't know what to say about that one.
We'll take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your question. We will take care of that ticket because we have other people down here. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. It has been truly a pleasure. When we first set this up, there were a lot of people who came in and swept everything, made sure that there were no hidden things all over the place there. A lot of black suited men came walking through. There were like Wookiees without hair, and everybody was a little tense. And then George came through, breezed through. He sat down here. He has been an officer and a gentleman. And ladies and gentlemen, since '87, the man has finally arrived and visited us yet again. A round of applause, please, for the Jedi Master.